action now. Ryan Aston up against Tyan Booth, Andy Clark and Paul Smith to kick off commentary after our Master of Ceremonies for the night, John McDonald.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the Olympia here in Liverpool. Eddie Hearn, in association with Cold War Boxing, proudly presents a night of championship boxing sponsored by Daffabet and Northfire. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live on Sky Sports and we are bringing you the very best ringside seat in the business. All the officials have been appointed by the British Boxing Board of Control here present with us at ringside. Let's get the action underway in the middleweight division. Introducing to you firstly, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks trimmed with red, weighing in at 11 stone, 8 pounds 4 ounces, a 23-fight record, 11 wins, 2 inside the scheduled distance, 10 defeats and 2 draws. From Nottingham, Tyan Booth. And across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks trimmed with gold, weighing in at 11 stone. 7 pounds 14 ounces, a 12-fight record, 10 wins, 4 inside the scheduled distance, 1 loss, 1 draw. From Dudley, Ryan Aston. Timekeeper at the bell is Jamie Kirkpatrick, and our referee in charge of the action is John Latham. This is 6 3-minute rounds.
You both obey my instructions at all times. Take your break clean, defend yourselves at all times, and best of luck to you both. Touch gloves, lads. Touch them up. Touch.
Slight reluctance to touch gloves there, possibly between these two. They've been here before. They met on the undercard of Carl Froch, Yusuf Mack back in November. That fight stopped in the 3rd round and called a draw after a clash of heads. The left Aston bleeding from the right eyelid. There was no great rhyme or reason behind a rematch, though. Aston was supposed to fight last Friday night. His opponent came in a stone overweight. He took this fight at 4 days' notice, and Tyan Booth, as coincidence would have it, was the only opponent they could find who would take it. He stepped up on Thursday, but there's some previous here, Paul, which can always make for a good fight.
Yeah, there is, and you can see straight away they're right down to business. There's no necessary feeling out stage. Plus the fact it's a 4-rounder, you really can't afford to wait around. Booth just caught Aston there with a nice sneaky right hand as he was coming in.
Aston's professional career today, 12 fights, 10 wins, that 1 draw, and the defeat coming by knockout against Curtis Valentine last July. Going up for the Midlands area title. He was knocked out in the 2nd round. It was a fairly savage knockout as well. It was a setback at that stage, but I spoke to him yesterday and he said that that's gone now. For 3 or 4 months he was after the rematch, he wanted to put it right, but now he feels it's probably best just to let it go. After the draw against Booth, he's picked up 3 consecutive victories. Aston just caught by a couple of punches there from Booth, who's strutting around the ring in rather unorthodox fashion at times.
It's the typical Ingle style from Booth. You can see him trying to frustrate Aston as much as he can, trying to make Aston make the mistakes and then counter them with the unorthodox shots. I can tell from experience it's an absolute nightmare to fight against when you know someone's so unpredictable and can do anything at any time.
Well, he does have the height advantage here, Tyan Booth. Glove movement, rather eccentric so far, I think might be the word to describe it. He's certainly in very good condition. His most recent fight was against Chris Eubanks Jr. in June, an 8-rounder. Stopped with just 29 seconds to go in that fight. He's been disqualified fairly recently as well. Left Cello Render needing 25 stitches and a gash under his right eye, caused by a clash of heads. Cello Render, somebody that Aston has sparred many rounds with.
The thing with Booth, even if he's not landing, all the fiddling about and the messing around, the showboat that he does, it makes you think and it makes you stop your natural game. So you're reluctant to go in because you're wondering what he's doing next. Even if he's waving his arm about in front of you, you're still wondering why is he doing that. So you're thinking too much.
Into the last few seconds of the first round, this one scheduled for 6 at middleweight. Fairly even first round.
Another good counter from Booth.
It was right on the bell. Aston just wriggling through a Booth, and referee John Latham from Barry just had a quick word for Booth at the end of that round as well. He is an awkward customer, there's no doubt about that. Aston's game plan was to smother him, really, to get right on him right from the very start and not give him any opportunity to use those ungainly longer limbs that he does possess.
See Booth fainting in with the tricky shots again, unorthodox, fainting to the body. There's 2 good shots. He landed plenty more in that round as well, which is a bit worrying for Aston. Aston needs to get going, needs to switch on and maybe stop thinking a little bit too much. He's overthinking things, but that's fair play to Booth because that's his style. He needs to mess things up. He needs to frustrate his opponent and make him fight his fight.
Seconds out, round 2.
Paul Goff with the advice for Ryan Aston, Dominic Ingle, Tyan Booth's corner. Aston trying to get onto the inside of that long reach is proving to be a difficult thing to do at the moment. Both just standing opposite each other in centre ring. Nobody really wanting to make the first move. Aston trying to come in behind the jab with the left hand.
Again, sneaky left hook as Aston was coming in from Booth. And Aston seems to be struggling to find a way in. When he does get close, he's tangled up and moved on out again, but he's very reluctant to let his hands go.
That was a better looking backhand from Ryan Aston. Try and go to the body. Booth standing stock still in front of him. There's absolutely no movement from him there whatsoever, just waiting for Aston to make his move.
Not much really happening again in ways of action. You know, a lot of fiddling, a lot of poking with the jabs. Just waiting for that big opening to catch some good shots, but it's always Booth seemed to be catching Aston as he's coming in when Aston overcommits.
Decent crowd in early on at Liverpool Olympia. Aston's had a lot of experience fighting on big nights. Carl Froch undercards, Kell Brook undercards. Second fight was on the undercard of David Hay, Vladimir Klitschko. Finding Booth to be a difficult opponent to work out. First fight, as mentioned, didn't last all that long. Stopped in the third thanks to that clash of heads. And
nice
that was
shot.
A good left hand there, though, for Aston.
That was a good shot. It's better from Aston. I'd like to see him target the body more. Stiff, straight, southpaw backhand down to the body. Open Booth up and then try and work your way up.
Aston maybe just warming to his task slightly. He does have some time here over the 6 rounds to try and work his opponent out. Doesn't want to be too impatient. The mistake he made against Curtis Valentine was to go in with his hands low against a fairly murderous puncher, and he paid the price. End of the second round.
Jane, I've decided to travel the world. See you later.
You're focused on him and you're starting to get your foot into range. Keep keeping it active.
Pulled off with the advice here for Ryan Aston. Look at some of this action from the last round.
Very good stiff left hand there from Aston as Booth's lunging in. But Booth's very dangerous with those shots because they're so unpredictable. He'll always feint first and then he'll throw them. Typical Ingle fighter the way he throws them, but it was good from Aston. I'd really like to see him target the body a lot more this round. Start low, work your way up. 2, 3, 4 punch combinations instead of the singles because there's not much happening really.
Start of the third, Ryan Aston in the gold and black trunks, Tyan Booth in the red and white. Booth trying to flick out that jab. Even the way he throws his jab is fairly unorthodox. Aston's had some very high-quality sparring experience as well in recent times. Greg Proxer, Carl Froch, he did a lot of work with before his fight against Lucien Butte. Butte being a southpaw, of course. Did put George Groves down in sparring ahead of his fight with James DeGale a little while ago now. It wasn't just a gym tale, that did happen.
Booth's using the jab really well this round, keeping Aston at bay with it. He's actually throwing it with a bit of force now as well, instead of fiddling around with it, but the fiddling is still getting Aston to think a bit too much. And again, a good short right hook inside from him.
Aston just trying to stay out of range of that jab. Can't really reach with the backhand. Slightly off balance. He's feinting first, then trying to get him onto the inside. Aston having to step in and just collected the jab there. Great power behind it.
He can't afford to switch off when he gets inside, though. He's getting tagged with silly shots from Booth as he comes in. He finishes his attack and then switches off. Just needs to keep it tight and stay switched on all the time.
Into the final few seconds of round 3, heading towards the halfway stage of the fight. Pretty even so far. Tight, difficult fight to score. Aston had his back turned there. Booth just warned about punching to the back of the head. Well, midway stage is very tight.
Available now.
Let's send to the head. I want to do 3s, I want to do 5s. Let your hands go. If you don't get there,
Right, Aston being encouraged to let his hands go. We're at the midway stage of this 6th-round fight at middleweight between Aston and Tyan Booth. They met previously back in November. That's scheduled to 4 rounds. Only got as far as the 3rd. A nasty clash of heads left Aston with a cut, which meant that, according to the doctor ringside and the referee, he couldn't continue. I spoke to him yesterday. He said he wasn't worried about Booth's potential use of the head. He has been a bit hesitant though, hasn't he, Paul?
He has, and I know from experience, when you get a cut, you become hesitant whether you want to or not. You find yourself a bit reluctant when you're going in for attacks. You come out dabbing your own head when you get a knock, thinking, I'm cut again, and it is very mental, but you know, you've got to sort of get past with that, and unfortunately for Ryan Aston, the only thing to combat that is experience and is more fights.
Into the body with the left hand as Booth backed off, connected with the right, into the body again with the left.
Just better stuff from Aston as well. In the previous 3 rounds, the fight was going the way of the total opposite of what's happening, basically. Aston's a southpaw used to orthodox fighters. Booth is an orthodox, and you'd think he'd struggle with the southpaw. It's like Aston was struggling with Booth's style, as if he was a southpaw. It was like a total role reversal. Again, being hesitant because of the cut, so that was adding to it as well. But this is a better round from Aston, a better start.
Well, Booth's record, 23 fights, 11 wins, 10 defeats, 2 draws. He's had some impressive looking wins on that record as well, though, as Aston tries to work his body again with the left hand and steps in with a nice short left there, which just caught Booth. Outpointed Richard Turber, George Hilliard, Colin McNeil, Carl David. Some decent fighters amongst that list. Aston maybe just beginning to up the tempo and the work rate a little bit in this 4th round.
He's targeting the body a lot more as well, and he's having a lot more success this round. I think he should really focus on that. Start low, straight shots, work his way up. I know I've said it before, but I think it really is the key to get someone like Tyan Booth to open up and make mistakes.
Aston actually took his first professional title in his last fight. That was at super middleweight. That was due to his opponent being unable to make the middleweight limit. British Masters super middleweight champion is now after beating Harry Matthews.
Little few words from each other inside there. It's always funny to see when they've had a bit of history, you know, and talking to each other inside. And also frustrated as well if you're not that type of fighter, which I don't think Aston is.
Aston, I think, would have preferred if John Latham had got involved a little bit earlier there, as Booth just goes for one of his walks towards the corner. Again, as Aston comes in, Booth just ties him up. Booth in no great rush to get back to his corner, being ushered back there by Dominic Ingle.
Yeah. Okay? This is too easy.
Well, this is an important stage of Aston's career. The first defeat against Valentine was damaging physically and mentally, the way it was delivered, and then to get a technical draw in his first fight back, a lot of people would look at that and think that he's hit a bit of a stumble. He insists that he hasn't, but it does take a while to get back into the groove.
It definitely does, and it takes a lot of mental strength, especially from Ryan Aston. You lose a fight and then you have that technical draw may as well have been a loss for Ryan Aston, because you go in there, and if you're not coming out with a win, it's basically as good as a loss to a fighter, and that's the right mentality to have. But I think Aston is very hesitant because of the cuts. I can speak from experience because I've had that myself, and I know how hard it is to actually get yourself to not be as gun shy because you've had a nick before and a few bad cuts. But he's warmed into the round. The last round was the best round he's had so far, and I think he needs to win these 2 rounds big to take the fight convincingly.
Well, that spells it out, dead level on Paul Smith's unofficial scorecard at this stage. He did pick up a cut over the right eye against Dean Walker earlier on in his professional career. That was a head clash as well. He was out for a month.
Good body shot from Booth again, from Aston again. Booth's got such a big target to the body, and it's criminal the fact that no one would target it a lot more. Aston's been a lot better again the previous round. This round he's going to the body a lot more and he's targeting it well.
Again, left hand to the body. It's an increasingly unprotected area. Watch the head, says referee John Latham. Quite a marked height difference between the two. That was a nice right hand from Booth, who just gives Aston a little bit of a look as he lands it.
Just letting him know he was still there. It's always the case with 2 fighters when one's lost a few, especially lost a few on the bounce. Once the midway stage comes in the fight, if he doesn't feel he's involved in the fight too much, he'll go into the usual mode, the usual backing off mode, and well, this is how the way the fight should go anyway, so, you know, and they go into the retreat. But Booth is in this fight, in my opinion, and he needs to put his foot down on the gas if he wants to get a share of it at least.
Well, he lost a very close one recently against former British light middleweight champion Prince Aaron by a single point. Observers ringside of the opinion that on another day he could have had a draw. Aston down the fight again on October the 6th. Looking away towards the referee there as he just got cuffed by the right hand of Booth. He's not finding this a comfortable experience at all, is he?
No, I'd really like to see him get his head safe inside. There's no point in going in with someone taller than you and having your head up in the air and your chin high in the air. Put your head on his chest. You know, the ref may warn you for using your head, but you're not. You're just getting your head safe. Put it on one of his shoulders, turn it to the side. Just make sure you're safe.
Booth winding up with right hand slung from the waist. Didn't miss by too far. End of the 5th round, and tight going into the final round.
That was the body shot we mentioned earlier on, but I think Aston's just loading up a little bit too much. It'd be nice to see him relax and just 1 or 2 arm shots maybe to work it up and throw in some combinations, 2, 3 and 4. Lovely counter right hand there from Booth. And the range he's got, he just doesn't use it as much as he should. Tyan Booth, you know, he's so tall as well. Aston considerably shorter, he should be using that a lot more, but it's an interesting last round for me.
He's just waiting for a big shot. Do you understand? Yeah? Listen, you need to go out and get on this kid. You need to do everything straight and clever. You've got 3 minutes, it's the fight of your life. Come on, here we go.
Well, they very much feel that it's there for the taking. Dominic Ingle telling Tyan Booth in no uncertain terms what he needs to do in this final round.
Yeah, and on my card, it is there for the taking, but Booth has to come out and show that he wants it and not be in the defeatist attitude and the journeyman attitude, so to speak. You know, he needs to come out and have a good go, and this is an interesting fight.
Paul Goff may well have been telling Ryan Aston in his corner exactly the same kind of thing. Whatever happens here, I don't think Aston's going to want to make this a trilogy. Aston again trying to work to the body, but he's not really finding the target in this final round so far.
No, and he's trying to load up a lot, but it's okay saying it. It's all good and well saying it. When your fight's close and you've got to really go for it, the natural instinct is to load up with your shots, and that's where a bit of experience comes in, and you realise that when you relax, the shot comes easier.
Aston just ducking a little bit low with the head. Kell Brook at ringside, opposite us.
Up and down, Tyan, up and down. Up and down, Tyan. Come on, up and down, Tyan.
Very, very tight this final round so far as well. If one of these two could find a finish in the last 90 seconds, then it could make it very interesting.
Very much so. I'd just like to see Ryan Aston just pull his arms away inside, just 3, 4, 5 punches to the body, just light, sharp, fast punches. Make Booth react, make him move back, and then come over the top with the big shot that he's trying to throw anyway. It's very messy work inside from both fighters, and I'm sure, you know, neither will want to be there.
Again, Aston really only with one opportunity to land a significant punch there as he comes in with a left hand. As soon as he gets anywhere near, those long arms of Booth are all over him. That looks a little bit low. I'm not sure it made any real contact. Left hand from Aston. Again, the same thing. They just meet chest on.
Both fighters very guilty of loading up. It's understandable, it's the last round of a fight and it's a close fight, but need to relax and let the shots go and just throw more volume of punches for Ryan Aston for me, and he can take this round.
Dominic Ingle saying from the Booth corner just there that, in his opinion, Aston needs a knockout. I think I heard that right. And the Booth would just flick out that jab and keep him off him for the last 10 seconds. Well, it'll be very interesting to see.
Great shot from Ryan Aston. Counter right hook, southpaw right hook.
Good left hand over
from Booth.
As the bell goes at the end of the 6th and final round, and it was an interesting fight. It was stopped in the 3rd and made a technical draw after a clash of heads when they met on the undercard of Froch Mac back in November, and neither corner is confident about this. Ryan Aston looks a little bit deflated in his corner. That's how you've got it, Paul.
Yeah, this is my card, that's how I've got it. I thought Aston just shaded the last. It was certainly closer than the 5th. I thought he'd done well in the 5th round to come back, but shaky rounds early on, and it's a good job the fight was changed to a 6-round fight, and because you know I had a level after 4.
Well, let's see which way it's gone with our MC John McDonald.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds of boxing, referee John Leydon has scored the contest of 57 points for both boxers. We have a draw. So show your appreciation, please, for Tyan Booth and Ryan Aston.
Well, a draw. You had it by 2 to Aston, Paul, but it was a very difficult fight to score.
It was, as I say, the last round was closer than the 5th round for me. But I thought Aston just shaded it. If I had gave it to Booth, it was a draw itself. But my card, I had Aston just shading it. But listen, you can't walk away from that fight feeling probably hard done by. He had the chance to take that fight and to do better in that fight, and he'll know that when he watches the tape back.
Well, he came in at fairly short notice. They both did. Very short notice, in fact. Aston taking the fight on Tuesday. Didn't know who the opponent would be. And then it was a rueful smile, I think, that spread across his face on Thursday when he found out that it was Tyan Booth. Well, we can hear from both of them now. They're ringside with Andy Scott.
Yeah, I've got both boxers with me now. I'll go to Ryan first. You both look a little bit frustrated. Ryan, did you think you were done enough to win it?
I thought I boxed the better rounds. He was throwing his jab and that's all he had. I was getting more involved, doing the more work rate within the rounds, and I thought I nicked it by a round.
How awkward is he?
He's very awkward. Yeah, he's hard to hit. Looks like the rest of the Ingalls camp. He's a good fighter, but I thought I'd done enough.
Tyan, at just 4 days' notice, are you proud of your performance, and do you think you could have nicked it there?
I'd say I should have more than nicked it. I mean, this is his promoter's show, so he's bound to give it a draw unless I knocked him out. So that was a clear win in my case for me.
Did you think it was the cleaner shots that should have won it for you?
Yeah, I was catching with right hands, body shots that you didn't really see in close. So I thought I won it by probably 4 rounds to 2. He might have given 2 even, but it's his promoter's show, so he's bound to give it a draw.
You've had a technical draw in your first one and now a draw. Do you two want to move on from each other?
I'm not really bothered. I'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. I took this fight on 4 days' notice as well. I got told on the Tuesday, so I'm ready. I was ready, so I thought I'd take it.
And Tyan, you've made your name around the country. Do you want to finally get a win over Ryan, or do you want to move on to different things now?
To be honest with you, the style